guys, it's Phaedra from All Things Phaedra, and it's car review day. I haven't done a lot this year because, well, you know, it's kind of a weird time in the car market. It's kind of a weird time in the economy and the gas prices. It's just kind of a weird time. Anytime you turn on the TV or anytime you're on the internet, all you're hearing about is EV, electric vehicles. And I know some of you are very passionate about it. You love it, you hate it, you're against it. I just have to say they are really fun to drive. And when I went to the New York Auto Show a couple months ago, there were tons of EVs. But one thing I noticed is they all started to kind of look alike. They all get a 300-mile range. They all sort of drive alike. They all look alike. This one stood out. This is the Kia EV6, and I came back from New York and said, I have got to get behind the wheel of that one. And I'm not sorry that I did it, because this one, believe it or not, I like better than the Ford Mustang Mach-E. There, I said it. But I'm going to show you why I like it so much. The outside styling, the interior styling, and most importantly, what it's like on the road. But before I do that, let's go ahead and talk about some of the really important things that you need to know if you have an EV. Number one is the range. When fully charged, the EV6 has a 300-mile range. But what's really great is I've noticed that it has really good regenerative capabilities. I'll show you, it has multiple levels of regeneration. So you can decide how you want that driving feel with the acceleration pedal and with the braking. What that means is that you can drive, let's say 30 miles, but only have used 15 miles of your range. Now I'm exaggerating there, but that's generally the idea, is that as you're expending energy, you're also regenerating it. So it's really cool. The other thing that I want to get out of the way is that price tag. Let's talk about that price. So I have often said, friends don't let friends pay MSRP. But that was before this year. That was before this era, let's say, of pricing. So the Kia EV6 does start as low as $40,900, but that is your out-the-door price, the out-the-door sticker price. Remember that with most electric vehicles, you will be eligible for a certain number of tax credits. Most people are eligible for the $7,500 federal tax credit, and some states, like New York, for example, has a state tax credit as well. What that means is your net cost could be as low as $33,400 for an EV6. Now that's not what this one costs. This one is the 2022 EV6 GT line rear wheel drive, and it's got a couple options, including the suede seat package, which I'll show you inside. It's really cool looking. That means the price of this one, including destination charge, is $52,710. Remember, that is before any federal tax credits. So that would be your out-the-door price, and that would be if you're paying sticker. Price aside, I'm going to show you why I love the Kia EV6, and let's start with a walk around of the outside. This is a very unique design, and some might say it's inspired by other vehicles. I looked and I could see a little bit of Dodge Neon, a little bit of Range Rover Evoque, and maybe a touch of Honda Civic. But you tell me what you see when we do this walk around. Up front, we've got a very short, stubby hood, and I actually really like it. I really like wide cars, and it's got a very muscular look to it. And that's because you don't need a whole lot under the hood. There's no combustion engine under there. In fact, let me show you what is under there. Not a whole lot. You see your fluids, but right here, you've got this lever, and this gives you what we in the biz call the frunk, basically the front trunk. And you could store stuff here. I have no idea what you would put here. It's not really very interesting to me, but really it's kind of just a protective panel. It does, however, give you access to things like, I won't pull it off, but the battery connectors are under here. And then under here, you can pull this out. And what this does not really much use to you, but it gives easy access to compartments that technicians might need to access when servicing your vehicle. Now that is just the regular battery, not the electric battery that charges the vehicle. That battery runs underneath the car, and it's actually protected and actually includes a battery heating system. So in the winter, it keeps your battery from getting too cold and losing some of its maximum energy capacity. As we continue the walk around, you'll see a couple different styling accents that are different than some of the other trims. This is the GT line, which is really just a sporty look. That's really the only difference. We've got 19-inch rims and really kind of flat rims. You've got the body match trim, the black gloss that you'll see in different areas, and that body match trim goes around the tires and all the way down the edge. And then you also have these automatically extending flush door handles. So this is what they look like normally, and then when you're getting ready to enter the vehicle, they pop out like this. It's weird. I don't love it. I mean, maybe it's for aerodynamics, maybe it's just for style purposes, but that's what we've got here. We've got some nice gloss black accents, and then, you can't see it right now, but there's a nice accent light under there, so at night it gives you a really cool glow. We go around to the rear, and this is where it really has some extra style here. Just looks a little bit different. Now, I mentioned the back vaguely reminds me of a Honda Civic, but really I just think it looks sort of cool and not like anything that's going to be outdated very quickly. And again, I want to remind you that this is the GT line, which gives it a sportier styling. That's not to be confused with the GT, which is performance-based, and that's due out later this year. Let's take a look now at this little panel back here. You pop it open, and this is where we're going to plug in. It gives you an indication of the battery status. This is your regular AC charging, both level 1 and level 2. This is your DC fast charging right here. And then I kind of love that you've got this to open and close the door. There's also a latch on the inside. But let me show you something that's cool other than charging the vehicle. So in the back here, I'm going to show you a couple things in the cargo area. This is a hatchback. Kia calls it a crossover. It's really a hatchback. So we've got some cargo space back here. There is some confusion though, because we looked at this stitching right here and it says max load of, I don't know, 180, 60, 30? I can't read that number. But that seems like a pretty low load weight back here. Not that I'm suggesting anybody should sit back here, but it's not unrealistic that you might have bigger cargo than that back here. So under here, there's a little bit of an extra space, tire mobility kit, and then this is what I want to show you. This is not a charging cord. This is the vehicle to load adapter. Let me show you what this can do. So this is meant to go with your plug back here, and what you're going to do is uncap it, plug it in just as if you were charging the vehicle, and then this pulls down. You're going to pull it down, and then down here you see there is an electrical outlet, and this outlet you can use, let's say you're camping, you want to plug in a coffee pot or a stove, or your power goes out and you want to plug in your refrigerator. You can plug it in, close this up, and start the power transfer from your vehicle battery to your appliances. And if you're worried that someone's going to come along and say, oh, thank you very much, I will take that, they can't, because it is locked. And the only way to release this lock, I actually had to Google this, the only way to release this lock is you have to use your key fob to unlock all of the doors, and that will release this lock. So when you're done using your power, you simply turn off the power transfer, hit the unlock button twice, remove the plug, just like that. Really cool feature. Side note, if for some reason that gets stuck and you cannot release it, you've got this little door right here that gives you a special release. While we're back here in the cargo space, we've got nice wide cargo area, and we do have a 60-40 split in the back. So we're going to go ahead and put those seats down, and you'll see that you have a really good amount of cargo space back here. Also back here, just to make sure I'm covering it all, you do have a 12-volt port. Let's head into the back seat where we can see the seats are still folded flat. And what you want to do is you want to use this lever. This is a two-handed job. Let's do that on this side where you can see it a little bit better. There's a lever right down here. You're going to press on this and pull the seat up, hopefully more gracefully than I did. And it is adjustable, so you can sit upright or tilt it back just a bit. Now this is your first glimpse at the interior. We're going to start in the back here, and this is the special upgrade. This is a suede interior with vegan leather trim. So now we're sitting in the back, and I like to show you some of the details so you know what your backseat passenger is going to get into. It is nice and spacious, and I am sitting behind the driver's seat. That's the short lady seat right here. So I'm 5'3" on a good day, and as you can see, I can barely even touch that seat. I have lots of leg room here in the back. And then my tall son, who sits in the passenger seat, gives us a nice contrast. And as you can see, even with that seat all the way back, I still have pretty good room. So even if I were a taller person, I still have pretty good room here. So I feel pretty comfortable with that. Let's look at the amenities back here. So we do have vents in the back. That is important for your backseat passengers. And you do have, I think, some cup holders down here in the door. And down here we got nothing. We got nothing, guys. But if you look over here, you do have these USB outlets, which allow you, these are the USB-C, I think I got that one right, USB-C outlet that allows you to charge. There's one here, and there's one here for your backseat passengers. If you've got someone in the middle, too bad. All right, and as you might expect, we've got a console and we've got some cup holders right here. So I would say this is a 5-passenger vehicle, but probably more comfortable for 4. And while you're back here, look at these odd shape. Look at that odd shape for that headrest up front. Isn't that unusual? All right, I see you peeking up front. I see you peeking up there. So we're just gonna go up there. So I just locked the car. That's because I have the key fob with me. When I walk up with the key fob in my hand, see, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It has this proximity sensor where it will automatically unlock and open the door. If not, I can press the button there. That's one of my minor complaints with the car. A little inconsistent there. So this is the door handle, and you simply pull it out. It's sort of weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like I don't get a good grip with that. But we're going to go ahead and sit inside, because this is where the magic happens. So here I am behind the driver's seat, and it looks like I'm probably only about 4 feet tall, and I can barely see over the dashboard. That's absolutely not true. There's actually a large screen here, and I'm going to show you this display because that is one of the cool features here in the Kia EV6. So let me turn the camera around and show you what I'm looking at. Here's the center console, and I'm showing this to you first because this is where the on-off button is. I don't think we call it an ignition switch anymore. Everything comes to life, including this 12.3, they call this a dual panoramic display. So everything here is digital. This is all of the driving cluster, and this is all of the other information, your navigation, your climate control, a little bit of everything. I've got a lot I want to show you here, so let's get to it quickly. We've got all of our door controls. This does have an upgraded stereo system, and right over here we have brightness. This is the button that allows you to automatically open your charging port. And this allows you to open your trunk. This is your parking brake, and that's your traction control. Small complaints, I haven't figured out yet, but I like it when you can set up the parking brake to automatically turn on. It will automatically disengage when you put it in drive, but it doesn't seem to turn on when you automatically park. Also, there's no sound that indicates that this has been released properly. So I found myself pushing the button and getting out and making sure because I didn't always release it properly. Taking a look at the center console, we do have heated and cooled seats, which is really important in an electric vehicle because you want to minimize the amount of climate control, especially in the winter, because that can quickly suck down your battery life. So we've got these here. The good and bad is that they're touch. So it's good, it's easy to use. The bad is that I kept accidentally turning them on when I didn't want them. You don't need heated seats in the summer. This is your transmission, park in the middle here, your auto braking hold. This is if you want a camera view when you're parking. It does have smart park. I haven't put that to the test. This right here is a wireless charging pad, which is really convenient while you are driving the vehicle. You can see it just became active. Now, one small complaint about this is that there is no wireless CarPlay. So it is a wired CarPlay, and I'll show you how to hook that up in just a second. But I don't know, if I'm going to have to plug it in to use the CarPlay, I'm probably not going to need to use a wireless charger. So then we've got our cup holders here. This is a nice little compartment back here. You don't truly get, oh yes, I guess you do get a full, wow, this is very deep, this little console down here. So this is just like a little pocket. Sometimes I put my phone there when it's plugged in to the CarPlay and I don't want it charging, I can just put it there. So we've got a nice deep console. And one of the things I love is this space down here. So down here, this is really just, this is like your junk drawer at home. This is where you can put stuff. And ladies, or gentlemen, whatever, you got a purse? Finally, this is a compartment that will actually fit your purse. I'm dead serious. Totally serious. Will fit your purse. Down here, we have a USB port and we have a 12-volt port. Then we have even more ports. This one is just for charging, and this is the one that you use that says USB. That's the one you use for your Apple CarPlay. Now, I don't know if this is intentional. I'm pretty sure it is. But look, I found this nice little area right here where I put the power cord so it's not stringing all over the place. And then I hook up my phone. So I hooked up the Apple CarPlay and there we go. I've got the CarPlay. There it goes right there. So this is great, but then I'm like, wait, how do I get to the vehicle menu? I was really confused about this, really confused, until I used a little intuition. So down here, we've got the climate control, okay? We can lower the fan, change the temperature, change where we want all of this, okay? Standard, this is all touch display. Press this, and the whole display changes. So now, instead of temperature, this same knob controls volume and power for your media. How amazing is that? And then this is what gives you the menu for your media, for your car setup, or I set a favorite to take me to the home screen. So let's look at EV. This tells you a little bit more about the vehicle, and I really like that if you press this here, it shows you where the nearest EV charging stations are. How cool is that? I love that. We go back here, we have some pretty fairly standard icons here, but I also want to show you quiet mode, which is great if you're a parent. And what that does is that will ensure that the speakers are automatically directed towards the front so little babies in the back can sleep. And if you really want to customize your vehicle, you can go to setup, and there are all kinds of different options you can do with your display, with the sound, with your different device connections, with your data, with your vehicle. Definitely you want to spend a lot of time exploring in here because these are all your safety options. Kia has a lot of them. You can spend a lot of time getting deep into the menus, but I just want to show you one other thing that I think is really cool. Under the media section here, there's something called Sounds of Nature. And if you saw me review the Genesis GV80, which is a luxury SUV, you will have seen this same thing, but I love that Kia is now including it in something like this. Now, you may not want to listen to somebody crunching across the snow in a snowy village. Maybe you just want something like some nice sea waves. Or forest sounds. for a rainy day. And now that you've seen all the cool things that the Kia EV6 can do from a configuration standpoint, and I'm giving you a better look of the interior, including this suede upgrade on the seats, are you impressed yet? I don't know if you are, but I think you will be once we get this on the road. And I show you the smoothness of it, the quietness, and the acceleration and torque. It's crazy. So now that we're behind the wheel, there isn't a whole lot to know about driving an electric vehicle if you've never driven one. There is an accelerator pedal, which takes the place of a gas pedal, and there's a brake pedal. So we've got pretty good horsepower, 225 horsepower, but the real joy is the torque, 258 pound-feet of torque. And what that means is not only can I get going and get going quickly, but I can maintain that acceleration. So even if I'm driving at a lower speed, let's say 20 miles an hour, to get up to 50 happens in seconds. And it's very smooth. There's no shifting of gears, things that you might be used to in a regular combustion engine vehicle. So I'm going to show you some of that acceleration right now. All right, not a soul in sight in this parking lot. So we're going to line it up, and then we're going to hit it. The last thing I'm going to invite you to do for this drive segment is to go on the highway with me so you can really see it in motion and see what it's like in real-world driving. And I have to give a shout out to the Kia cameras. So this is obviously animation right here, but they give really great visibility about which direction your wheels are turned. And then they even use an animated vehicle so that you get a sense of where you actually are when you're driving. So I got to break out my cheat sheet to wrap things up because I always like to remind you of everything that I liked about this car. So the range, 300 miles, which isn't anything groundbreaking. That's pretty much standard. The power, as I mentioned, 225 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. It does have optional I-pedal driving, so you can get the right feel and or maximum regeneration depending on your preference. It's got great style and comfort options. This, to me, is where it stands apart from the Mustang Mach-E. It really has a good, comfortable, light luxury feeling on the inside. I do like the suede seats, but I really like the instrument cluster. To me, the Mach-E feels very bare bones. This one, I think it still feels like a really nice interior, but you still get the same performance that you want from an electric vehicle. On the menus, on the infotainment system, you've got a lot of redundancy. Now, redundancy isn't normally a good thing, but I think it is, because you can use switches on the steering wheel, you can control it from the infotainment center, you can control it manually, so there are lots of different ways to get the vehicle to do what you want it to do. It's got that area for my purse. Okay, what can I say? I love that. But there are some things that I don't love, and I've mentioned a couple of those along the way. I mentioned the wireless charging, but the wired CarPlay, I'm not sure why they did that, because some of the other Kia models, especially the Sorento, does have everything wireless. It's got a lot of safety features, and sometimes they actually felt intrusive. That's not a bad thing, that's just a personal preference, and I would actually turn some of them off. The menus can be a little bit overwhelming. There's a lot to configure in the vehicle. Again, that's not a bad thing. You just have to take the time to get to know your vehicle. And then there are just a couple more things that I think are really cool features that kind of set this apart. So I showed you the ambient sounds, whether it's the rain or the open air cafe sounds in your car. I think that's a neat feature. The power onboard generator. I showed you that, where you can do the vehicle to load adapter in the back and plug in things to charge directly from your vehicle. It has solar control and tinted glass, and that's important because you want to keep your vehicle either warm or cool without having to use additional climate control, because that wears your battery down quicker. It's got the battery heating system, which again keeps your battery operating more efficiently. It's got that dual panoramic screen, which I think is a really nice interior display. And you can set up the displays to use a blue light filter, which is especially good at night. That's it. That's all I have to say about the Kia EV6, which is a lot. But you know what? I loved it. And these days, I'm really only taking the time to review the cars that I think are something really special. This is one of them. So I hope you like it. I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to hear if you have one and what you think of it. And more importantly, I'd love it if you hit that like button and subscribe so you can come back for more content like this. See you next time.